Hi, Dr. Rudy Kachmann. Welcome to our show today, which will be the show on diabetes, how to prevent it, stop it, and reverse it. I beg you not to live in denial and delusion, which many people are, because this epidemic in this nation, of complications of type 2 diabetes, which I explain in a minute. The difference between type 1 and type 2 produces at least 50 or so chronic illnesses. We could empty the hospitals if people would do just a few little things, like watch the type of food, not even a diet, type of food, take a walk, exercise a little bit, reduce their stress a touch, and we nailed this epidemic. That's how it's easy. You can get rid of type 2 diabetes. I mean it. I got the books here today. I'll hold up the covers for you. You can get rid of type 2 diabetes. Weeks. Weeks. Mark Hyman thinks a week. The original book I read on this, I knew this a long time ago, but I never meet a diabetic provider ever read this book. Not one. Not one. 30-Day Diabetes Miracle by Franklin House. I read this 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. He was at the Lifestyle Institute in Arizona, and he was able to, for people to get rid of their diabetes. I think eventually he retired from there. I don't know, but that which led me to read many other books and experience it with my patients. I've had a lot of my patients start eating right, exercise a little more, got off all the diabetic medications. Don't take very long. Mark Hyman, whose book I don't have here, is a very good one. You can print off about 70 pages off the internet, how to speak to your doctor. It's critical you do this because odds are if suddenly you're pre-diabetic or something, your provider will hand you a script, okay? I want you to say to your provider, unless it's an emergency, could I spend a couple months getting rid of my diabetes because I'm willing to participate in my health care? I saw another one today. That provider did that, who I think knew better. I don't know the reason. I have no idea, okay? So type 1 diabetes is where your pancreas doesn't make any insulin. And Banting and Best invented insulin around 1920, and that saved a tremendous amount of people. Before that time, the few people they saved, they put them on a high-fat diet. 60, 70, 80% fat diet, and a few dead lives. So that taught you something about the physiology. That sugar was the booger and the hooker, okay? But then they developed the insulin, and you started getting them shots. But then, for some reason, they went back to a carbohydrate-larger diet instead of continuing, with a certain amount of fat. Not as high as it was, but maybe 40, 50% fat. And people became sick again because every time the sugar went up, you just took more insulin. Well, it turns out that insulin is anabolic. Insulin will push sugar. The type 2 diabetes is where we have too much insulin, okay? The cell needs some sugar for energy, for ATP. But in type 2 diabetes, that is too much insulin, too much sugar, but the receptors on these cells are filled full of triglycerides, fats formed by sugar, and insulin cannot get the sugar in the cell for energy, but it works hard doing it. For a while, that works. The sugar will be normal, but the serum insulin is elevated 10, 15 years. Why don't they test for that? I got no living idea. Mark Hyman says you should. Other books say you should. But they do screening at factories, different things. You may weigh 250. Your blood sugar is normal. You don't have diabetes. 90% chance that's a lie. Good chance they don't know it. Nutrition Society hasn't gotten onto it. And I don't think the American Diabetic Association got onto it because they're not championing this. approach. It's in many books, though, okay? Many books. So my thought process was developing after that. So I wrote a book called The Secret of Reversing Type 2 Diabetes, right there. Book I wrote over 10 years ago, okay? Okay? I was realizing that sugar, nature designed in us a circuitry of dopamine, the quick fix, serotonin, the long-term fix, and sugar was a quick fixer, just like cigarettes, alcohol, marijuana, okay? Technology for some people, I think. So my thought process was advances. So I wrote a book called The New Slavery, Sugar Addiction. See the hands and chains below there? Mm-hmm. The slaves we had years ago, pictures of them, they, no breakfast, no lunch. So to eat something, to stay alive, they ate sugar cane, which they were cutting, for it to be sent to England to make the sugar kings. That changed their genetic structure. So if they eat sugar today, they just explode. But so is the white population, 80% overweight easily. Certain ethnic groups within that white population, 90%. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the black population, probably 90%, and they're all getting diabetes. Nobody cares. Seems like only me, okay? It's more than me, but it isn't the main leaders of the nation, okay? And, or the main medical providers, because if we get them to eat right, their diabetes will go away. Instead, what do we do to them? Pills, insulin. Well, let me tell you about insulin. That's what causes insulin resistance. You can't get the sugar in the cell because fat is hitting these receptors, but insulin's other job is to open the door to the cell to let fat in. Yeah. So if the fats are elevated in your blood, okay, so you use insulin, okay, high levels to push sugar in, needed for energy, same time as pushing fat in also, and you're gaining more weight. Fat is pro-inflammatory, increasing insulin resistance. You see the vicious cycle going on? So the answer to your type 2 diabetes is insulin and pills, maybe in certain cases, but not in most cases. In most cases, the answer would be a little bit of exercise, eating the right food, so you could reduce the amount of insulin that you're taking. Remember, some need a little bit because they're type 1, okay? I'm worried about the insulin pumps. They help some kids control their blood sugar, but they also have found that they need anything they want to, and they just take more insulin. And they're still dying in the 40s and 50s instead of 100. If they ate right, a person on 20 units, 10 units of insulin, if they ate correctly, a little bit of exercise, probably live to be 100. Mm-hmm. Is that happening today? Rarely, rarely, through improper education. So one of the next books that I wrote, Our Body on Fire, Destroying Our Health. Look at this. Am I hitting the, I'm trying to get the message out, okay? Your body's on fire, chronically burning from microvascular disease, from diabetes. Mm-hmm. It's right here. It's right here in great detail, okay? So, still, our government isn't changing much. Our providers aren't changing much. And I'm a neurosurgeon, okay, paying a lot of attention to this, because the patients I was looking at didn't need back surgery, they needed diabetes surgery. The next one I wrote is called The Scam, the Racket, the Fraud of Type 2 Diabetes, because it is a fraud that we allow people to have this without proper education at all levels, all ages, is a fraud. It's a scam to keep industry in power. Wake up, okay? Then I like confirmation. I don't like just my ideas. So I became good friends 15 years ago or so. Dr. Joel Fuhrman, You notice the title, he's world famous, you know, clearly more famous than I. Although last year I beat him in tennis, and this year when he was in Fort Wayne, we had a tie. He gave a talk. He told me he came to town just to beat me in tennis. Okay, but he gave a very nice talk in town. And end of diabetes, and he means every word of it. An expert, even more than knows clearly more than I, and world famous. And my name is in the back of the book because I reviewed it. He asked me to review it. I think 2 million copies were sold. So you think this has some credibility in it? You want to get rid of diabetes? Read his book. Okay? Another book. I go to Hilton Head, see my daughter. She had me give some lectures. And who's meeting at the hotel? The house was full. It's the Almond Society. A doctor of West Youngberg is part of that. They go all over the world and teach health. He went to the island of Guam for 15 years, where the Japanese had flattened the island. And so these gorgeous natives, pictures of them in the book, became way overweight and developed type 2 diabetes, 99% of them. Mm-hmm. They used to eat fish and vegetables, and now it's American food and Spam. They all went like this. He went there 15 years, developed a system of testing, and got most of the island straightened out for anybody who would have followed his recommendations. Mm-hmm. I met him. I went to Hilton Head. He was there selling books and giving a lecture. And I became friends with him and reviewed this book, which again confirms what I'm talking about. Goodbye. Goodbye, diabetes. Why would we want to just accept that prescription, which costs money and doesn't cure anything, just brings the blood sugar down? There's a lot more to diabetes than bringing the blood sugar down. All these books confirm that, and Mark Hyman's work, many other books, but Mark Hyman's, I recommend him particularly. And why do we accept the disease? Why isn't the government saying, you got to do X and reward us maybe with money to motivate people? That seems to motivate people more than anything. Okay? That's the point of that. For anybody who doesn't want to read, okay, you notice I do like to read. An easy way, let's face it, if you're overweight, there are some people who are thin. They're thin on the outside, but have fat on the inside. They can have diabetes too. So blood testing is king. And I'll talk about that in a minute. A real easy way is to get Dr. Furman's book called Quick Fix. I make no money from this. This is strictly for advice. Quick Fix. You can open the book to anything. It'll be a great recipe with a picture. He has very veggie burritos or enchiladas. I mean, it looks delicious. Looks delicious. Okay? How to make them, picture, everything. And you don't have much reading to do. Eat this way, 1 month, 90% chance you won't have diabetes. No pills, you feel great, probably added 20 years to your life, avoided 25 years of disability. Remember diabetes, dementia, amputations, unannounced heart attacks, liver transplants, renal transplant, skin diseases, thyroid disease. I could go on and all avoided. Wouldn't that be worth it to maybe get this book and eat out of here? Did I say diet? No diet. Eating different food. Diabetics they are eating the sugar and the booger and bad fats. So you need good fats, omega-3 fats, and complex sugars with fiber. And I would strongly recommend an easy way to get started is to have a smoothie every morning. You can go to Facebook, Kachmann, there's smoothie recipes, because you're eating the pulp, you're drinking the pulp along with the vitamins and minerals, and they leave your gut as fiber, so you can, if you had, say, 500 calories in a smoothie, which is doubtful, you'd only get about 250. The rest is in fiber and leaves in your stool. And you'll be getting all the nutrients, your nutrient need is met, and your hunger will go away. have a big salad bowl later on, maybe some. I didn't say you had to be a vegan or vegetarian, did I? Okay, but I don't want you eating steaks and lamb chops and pork chops full of cancer factors and nitrosamines and insulin growth factors, things that make you unhealthy. No, a little bit of turkey, some fish from the ocean, not from a pond. If it comes from a pond, it's been fed genetically modified corn. You must well eat corn. Why eat the fish? Just eat the corn. So you got to pay attention where the fish comes from. So I really like this book, The Quick Fix. Because then that alone, if you cook that way a few weeks, you'll have to have your blood work checked frequently because your blood sugars would drop. Mark Kachmann would say that your blood sugars would drop within a week and you need to get off some medications. So check it a little more frequently. Tell your doctor, I'm going to eat differently. I'm going to get rid of my disease. I don't accept a script to the ill. Sometimes you need it. I didn't say stop your pills. Your doctor has to tell you that. But you must participate. Number one is, I saw this wheel of 8, how to get well. Number one is participate in your health care. Read a little. But like I said, you get this Quick Fix, Eat to Live cookbook, you're well underway. But I think to gather more information is motivational. Especially in most families, they get 5 family members with this problem. I got one side of my family, there's 5 members, maybe more, who have this problem. So if there's one advocate to really gain the knowledge, to educate the rest, in case anybody has a question, you can answer it. Hey, that's a good way. Let's talk about blood testing a little bit, okay? And that's critical. That's critical because there are some people a bit overweight who don't have diabetes, but that's rare. One of the best blood tests, you know what it is? Belly measurement. You get a pot belly, you're probably pre-diabetic, 90% chance. So judgment-free zone. And what test do I like? Hip abdominal ratio. Yeah, your hips should be bigger than your belly, and your chest should be, for a woman and in a man, the chest should be bigger than the belly button, okay? That's one. Body mass index, to get some idea. You know, if you're over 40, for a man, you're obese. You're over 35, you're overweight. 30, normal weight. But I see in Furman's books, he's really is reducing normal BMI now in men, 22, 23. Mm-hmm. You notice they always pull it back a little bit because industry doesn't want you to do that because they want to sell pills and medications. But they're killing a few people in the process. So aim for a low BMI. You get belly fat, it's a problem. And where the fat is located is most important. You can only tell that with scans. If it's in the liver or in the viscera or the omentum in front of your gut, that's where it's most dangerous. But most fat that you see is not subcutaneous. It's in your belly. Yeah, it's visceral fat, which is a lot more dangerous, lots more diabetes related. So I like a 2-hour glucose tolerance test. You don't eat overnight, which many of us don't do anyway. Go to the lab. They put a fasting blood sugar and a fasting serum insulin. Remember, these are the receptors on your cells. Insulin takes a sugar in the cell for energy, but because of insulin resistance, these receptors being full of fat, insulin cannot take sugar in the cell to make energy with oxygen, and the pancreas secretes like anything, increases the insulin level, and the blood sugar is normal. You weigh 250, blood sugar is normal. You don't have diabetes. Baloney, baloney, baloney. I got to know you got a normal serum insulin, okay? So get that checked. Fasting, 1 hour, 2 hour. Let's see if you're diabetic. People can be pre-diabetic 10, 20 years, yet die of the complications, those 50 illnesses of type 2 diabetes, in pre-diabetes. Unannounced heart attacks, they get the chest, they die. No angina, no warning, it occurs. 50% of heart attacks that occur, no warning, especially women. especially women. Incidentally, angina in women that warns of heart disease many times in a woman can be on the right, not just on the left like in a man, with exceptions in men too. It can be the axilla. If a woman has abdominal pain, vomiting, any pain between the umbilicus or the pubis, frankly, and the ears, any pain with nausea can be a heart attack in a woman. Mm-hmm. I have seen it. I've read about it. It can be pain in the axilla, yeah. Especially if they look like diabetic, watch out. Can be confused with disc problems. I know. I was a neurosurgeon. I remember seeing a lady outside had a ruptured disc. Her pain was here. She was having angina. Yeah. Fortunately, finally figured it out. Okay? So, West Youngberg then wrote up a system of blood testing, which is available. You could get a copy of this free at the Three Rivers Pharmacy in Anthony. Sheila Walker give you one free. It has the complications for diabetes in the back, give you some idea what they can be. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But they can be avoided. And if it has the correct blood testing there, that's important. You think, hey, I could be diabetic. High blood pressure, the first sign of diabetes, incidentally. Impotency in men occurs 3 years, many times, before diabetes is diagnosed, although clearly in pre-diabetes because of vascular disease. Eye things, impotency, numbness, hands or feet can be warnings of type 2 diabetes. So West Youngberg has the path to it. Like stage 1, your blood sugar is 85 to 94. Yeah, it isn't, you think, oh, well, if it's 126, pre-diabetes, he takes it way back down to, if you're 85 to 94, stage 1 high blood sugar. Stage 2, 95 to 99. Pre-diabetes, 100 to 109. Yeah. Advanced pre-diabetes, 110 and 125. 126, your diabetes. I like his system. You can get a copy of that. And feel free to copy it and give it to other people. Then we have Mark Hyman, who I like. 6 stages of insulin resistance or diabetes. A lot of this based actually on Atkins' book. In some of these books I read, people with kind of snidey comments about Atkins. Let me tell you something. I have his book at home. The new Atkins, he wrote it on page 323. He puts diabetes in 5 stages based on over 360 articles of Dr. DeFranzo, the biggest diabetic specialist in the world from Texas. And you speak to most providers that they don't even know the stages to the path to diabetes. Yeah, he put it in there. It's right in there. I think it's just great. In the end, I think the original books recommended too many animal products. But in that repeat book, still a little bit too much. But he's the one that pointed out the stages. He pointed out that sugar was the problem. And we're diagnosing people in Mark Hyman's stages about stage 4 or 5 when we could diagnose them very early. See, very early, without the blood sugar may be normal, but the serum insulin may be elevated, okay? Stage 2, you run a glucose tolerance test, and the blood sugar is still elevated, but the serum insulin is elevated. If you want to figure out the state of the pancreas, run a serum peptide. A test not often, very often, but that will tell you if your pancreas is dead or not. If it's dead, well, you may need to be on insulin all your life. But many times it's not. It can be awakened again, and you can return to normality again. See, 99% of the people think diabetes, you can't get rid of it. Wrong. All these books confirm what I'm saying, and I can name you 10 others. That's all I get room for on this table. So what do I generally recommend for a diabetic to do? Find out what your weight. Make a goal. Set a goal. Say I want to get rid of my diabetes within a month or two. 90% chance that could happen. Okay? and then start eating right. Have a smoothie in the morning. Be sure to check your blood sugars a little bit. That nothing in the smoothie is causing your blood sugars to rise a lot or anything. Have a big, huge salad bowl maybe for dinner. If you need a little bit of meat, a little bit of fish, maybe some turkey, whatever you need. I'm totally opposed to some dry chicken here and there, but just if you're trying to lose weight, chicken's a lot of fat in it. And it's hard to believe, but it is. And some toxins from things they spray on them, for example. But you eat a nutrient dense way. Exercise will not solve this problem. Exercise is important. Half-hour exercise is important. It helps the metabolism of the body, builds muscles which burn up calories, and your mental attitude reduces stress. Exercise is important. But the final thing will be type of food. The type of food that you're eating in the end will decide how things go for you. No dieting, and that's the beauty of it. If you want to be personally coached about type 2 diabetes, how to get rid of it, come see me at the pharmacy at Three Rivers. Call Sheila Walker, 373-1083. She'll give you an appointment to see me on a Friday. I will see you once a month till it's gone. I will teach you and encourage you maybe to get the cookbook. I have no financial interest in it whatsoever because I think it's easy to do it. This morning, I saw a patient who buys medication regularly at the pharmacy, and I saw Sheila give him that cookbook free. I've seen her do that more than once. Also, attend my lectures, which I give once a month for Lufthansa and Kachmann Facebook. They also will, public access TV will put some of the stuff on radio shows, 95.7. You can look at our website as to the exact times. And you can go to Amazon Books. I got about 20 books on there if you wanted to read some of my books. But like I said, I'm here mainly to get you well, but you got to gain some knowledge. You got to participate in your health care. Don't just accept this pill to the ill. There's too much of that around. And you can even, if you eat this way, and what we teach it, you can prevent 40% of cancers, 50 to 70% of breast cancers due to being overweight, smoking, drinking too much. That's 70% of breast cancer. Do most women know that? No. I wrote a book on that. That's also on Amazon. So, in summary, every week I have a show on this, and this is an epidemic. It is reversible. I'm afraid the government is not stepping up to bat and looking at this as an epidemic and can avoid so much disease. In the long run, though, I'm doing this because I love you, care about you. To see me, give me a hug. If you need help, see me at the pharmacy. You got a new idea for me, I always appreciate it. You have a great day. Namaste. I love you. Thank you.